I'd like to welcome everyone to the March school board meeting. What a crowd. I guess our last meeting was so exciting, everybody went home and spread the word that you've got to be here. Remind you that we meet every month, so it doesn't have to be a special occasion. You're welcome back. First item on the agenda is our invocation. If you will please bow with me. Dear Father, please let me say thank you on behalf of all that are gathered here tonight. Thank you for your many and abundant blessings. I pray that you guide us in the decisions we make tonight. I pray for the families that are represented. Open our eyes to the needs of this community and give us the courage and the ability to make a difference. It's in your name we pray. Amen. Next item on the agenda is our Pledge of Allegiance, and I'd like to invite Girl Scout Troop 2150 up to lead us in the pledge.
Oh, well, I don't have to say, please say it. Turn. That's what she said to me. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Walk out, Gracie. Gracie, go.
Thank you, ladies. Our next item on the agenda is approval of the minutes of our February 6th meeting and to approve the minutes from the special called meeting on February 26th. I have a motion by Mr. Drexler. Have a second? I have a second by Colonel Hales. Any discussion? All those in favor? Motion carries. That's 7-0. Next item on the agenda is important dates to remember. I'll go over just a few. On March the 9th, 7:30 in the morning at Winmock in Kenderton will be the State of Davie address, very informative. March 13th at 5:30, we have a Parent Advisory Council at South Davie. That's at 5:30 p.m. And on March 20th at 5:30 p.m., we have another Parent Advisory Council at the Early College. And then we're back here for April. Next, I'll turn it over to Dr. Hartness for our superintendent's report.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. Good evening, everyone. I want to take just a couple minutes to update the board and community on some happenings in the school system. February has been a busy month, but we made a lot of progress. First, I want to also welcome Ms. Sarah Saint, who's filling in for your legal counsel, Ms. Wilson, tonight. Welcome, Sarah, to our meeting. Last month, I shared with the community and with the board my desire and hope that the legislature would address the class size issues that you've heard about in the news. And I'm very happy to report that House Bill 90 did pass, was ratified by the governor, that will phase in class size changes over the next 4 years and will provide a new funding stream for enhancement teachers in our K-5 schools. So very pleased to report that. Nothing will change with class size requirements for 2018-19. So that's some good news for us. I want to thank the board for the time that you have spent in the past week out at one of our schools meeting with 3 of our parent advisory councils. We have 3 more of those meetings coming up soon, and we have made some adjustments in the schedule based on your request, and principals have been notified. So we look forward to meeting with our other parent advisory councils in the coming weeks. I also want to thank the board for coming together last Monday for a special called meeting on school safety. And those of you who read my School Matters newsletter, if you don't get that, I'll plug that newsletter. I'd ask you to go to our website and sign up for School Matters so that you can stay in tune with the issues that affect our schools. But I gave a summary of what we've been doing as a result of the horrible incident that happened in Florida on Valentine's Day. Of course, when that hit the news, we were all extremely saddened, and our staff began again discussions about school safety and safety around our schools, in our classrooms, around our campuses. And we felt it to be a need to bring together some experts within our community. So over that weekend, we put together a Safe Schools Task Force, and we invited members of our fire personnel, emergency services personnel, law enforcement to come together. We brought some parents together that work in law enforcement. Two of our school board members, Mr. Junker and Ms. Owens, were a part of that group, and a number of our staff from different areas came together, where 21 of us met at First Baptist Church on Tuesday of that next week. And we reviewed our current safety protocols within the school system. We went through about a page and a half of different issues and different procedures that we have in place. Some are visible and many are not visible. And we asked that group to brainstorm and think about, are there additional measures that we want to put in place to keep our schools even safer places for children? And that task force came to a list of recommendations and prioritized those recommendations. I called Mr. Junker, and we called a special called board meeting last week on Monday. And the board, you approved the top 3 recommendations. We appreciate you doing that. And those top 3 recommendations are: we are pursuing an addition of 2 additional school resource officers for next school year. We've written a grant with the state to help us to fund the salaries and benefits of those officers. We also are putting buzz-in systems in our schools so that the exterior doors will all be locked, including the front door. And folks that are visiting our schools during the school day will be required to buzz in. After your special called meeting, purchase orders have already been placed with 2 separate vendors so that we could split that project up and get 2 companies on top of that. The vendors have indicated that the wait time on the equipment is approximately 2 weeks, and they will begin installation. So we have already acted on your directives of putting those buzz-in systems in place. We also have several schools that we're going to be changing the front entrance configuration that force people to go directly into the main office when they enter the building. We are finalizing those plans with principals this week, and we will begin that as phase 2 of our safety plan changes. I want to say thank you to the task force and all of our staff who have committed many hours over the last few weeks addressing safety concerns in our schools. There are other things that we've communicated with principals that we're not going to share and make public that are part of our safety protocols, but I'm real pleased at where we are and the steps that we're taking, many of which will be visible steps to the community. And I would ask all of you for your patience as we change procedures, and as people visit schools, it will be a little bit more difficult getting into our schools. I want to thank parents and citizens who have contacted my office and contacted our principals with offering suggestions and recommendations. We have taken those and considered those. We'll be sharing those with our task force as we move forward. I don't know of any recommendations or suggestions that we've received so far that the task force has not already reviewed and considered, but we welcome those and we'll share those with leadership as we move forward. Long before the issues that happened in Florida a few weeks ago, our community has been extremely active in addressing concerns with students who are at most at risk. I want to just share a couple examples of that. Our administrators this past summer in our administrative retreat here in Moxville were part of trauma-informed schools training. And we had folks that came into our district and trained our principals and assistant principals of how to deal with students who have been victims of sexual or physical abuse or witnessed to violence, who have experienced trauma in their life that affects their behavior and their well-being at school. So we are learning more about how to deal with those types of issues in our schools. I've been part of a group recently that has been forming that we're calling a CRT, or a Community Resilience Team. And this team is addressing collaboration and pooling of resources between agencies within our community to support our students that are most at risk. I was tremendously encouraged by a call I received from a parent yesterday she and her husband are developing a nonprofit right now to provide support and encouragement to foster parents and adoptive parents, to share skills and strategies with them on how to help their at-risk youth that are in their home that they're supporting. Ms. Haynes and I met with leaders of a local church this past week, and who are using their ministry and expanding their ministry to support students who are most at risk in need of extra supports. I share these things to let you know that it's not a Safe Schools task force that's just at work. There's a lot of people in this community that are all hands on deck to support each other and to support our youth. And I would say that we have a very compassionate community and a lot of willing people from all different sectors who have come together to partner with us as public schools and to partner with agencies that support youth. And I think that's something we can all benefit from and we can all be proud of. Switching gears, last Thursday and Friday, 10 members of our leadership team attended BB&T Leadership Institute in High Point for team optimization and engagement training. This is another benefit of our partnership with BB&T. They have been training our principals over the last few years and principals across North and South Carolina. The training has been provided at no cost to Davie County Schools, and it provides our leadership team with some of the same training that corporate executives are receiving within the bank at BB&T. And we thank Kelly King and his vision and his investment in public education and leadership in our region. Wanted to share with you, I have questions about traffic every now and then. Traffic seems to have settled down quite a bit after the first few weeks of school at the new high school. But we met with NCDOT this week, and there is a new roundabout construction project that is scheduled to begin as soon as school is out on June the 9th to conclude before we start school on August 27th. And that will be a new roundabout at the eastbound entrance ramp to I-40 off of Farmington Road. That's the entrance ramp closest to Boyle's Furniture. So there's going to be a traffic circle there, a roundabout that will be constructed over this summer. The last thing I'll mention to the board is this Thursday here in this room, we will be opening bids for a field house for Davie County High School's field and stadium. Real excited about that and looking forward to opening some low bids. And Mr. Chairman, that's all I have tonight. Thank you. 2 p.m., 2 o'clock.
Just real quick, I want to say two things. One, thank you for your leadership of getting that task force together, but also I've said this multiple times, but just so everybody hears it, for you to call that meeting on a Monday and then walk in there on a Tuesday and to see 20 people from all throughout the community getting together, it just, it tells me about the community we live in, but also the urgency and the care that everybody has. So I mean, it's just it's really impressive for everybody to come together to talk and discuss ideas. So thank you for that. Next item on the agenda is probably why most of you are here, and that's the recognitions. First recognition is the Spelling Bee winners, and I'll turn it over to Jenda Haynes.
Good evening, Chairman Junker, board members, and guests. This year's Spelling Bee felt like a marathon for those who were here with us, and school winners from all of the elementary and middle schools should really be proud of their accomplishments. But it took 27 rounds and 73 words to determine the first, second, and third place district winners, and we want to recognize those students tonight. The winning word was tarragon. Can you spell tarragon? Tarragon, tarragon. But there were extended rounds, in fact, many rounds, to break a tie and determine our third place winner, who's going to be the first student that I recognize. And his winning word was rupee. Do you remember how to spell it? You got it, rupee. Come on up, third place winner, John Holcomb. John was so much fun to have in the Spelling Bee. He is a fifth grader at Shady Grove and son of Mark and Chandra Holcomb. So congratulations to John. Our second place winner is Amber McCullough, so hopefully Amber's here and can come up. I haven't seen her, but I hope she's in the crowd. No. Amber is a seventh grader at William Ellis Middle School and is the daughter of Brad and Dawn McCullough. Ms. Walters, will you take her certificate to her, please? And our first place, our district champion, is Reagan Edson, seventh grader from South Davie Middle School. Is she with us? She is here. Reagan is the daughter of Michael and Patty Edson. We want to congratulate these students. Reagan is going to actually be representing Davie County Schools and competing in the regional spelling bee on March 18th at the Milton Rhodes Arts Center in Winston-Salem. So we wish her well, and we also want to take the opportunity to thank our special sponsors for the spelling bee, Venetia's, the Davie Enterprise, BB&T, Hillsdale Dental, and Moxville Women's Club. Congratulations.
Congratulations, guys. Chad, what is a rupee?
Really not sure. Paul and I were just discussing that. Maybe kind of corn. We're not really sure.
Next recognition is Mr. Jeff Wallace will present to the middle school boys basketball team.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, guests, and board. Again, it's a wonderful opportunity for me to be able to stand here and recognize some of our folks, our student athletes that excel, as you've seen in the classroom, and with the spelling bee and 73 words. That's impressive, very impressive. It speaks to the quality of the folks that we are students. Also, but again, tonight we're here to recognize some of our teams that have excelled outside the classroom as well. And first, I'd like to recognize the William Ellis Middle School boys basketball team. And Mr. Coach Ted Boger, I know, is here. So Ted, if you could, where are you, Ted? Okay. Ted, I used to coach basketball, varsity basketball. And this man was official, and we have a good relationship still today. So Ted, he has a history, a background in basketball, but Ted works at William Ellis and has taken over as coach of our boys team, has done a great job. Coach, you want to have your young men come up, if you will, and then I will let you acknowledge them, but I want to make sure that we do get a couple things out. One is that they were undefeated this year at 9-0, but Mr. Boger was quick to tell me that they are 23-0. They've not lost a game in 2 years. So, very impressive. Coach, you want to call your young men up and just say, and then yes, that'll be fine. Just acknowledge who's here, and you can just say a few words about them, if you will, please.
We have some that are not here. Vacation has taken away Cade Carney and a couple of more. I mean, not Cade, Tate. He's out all year long, so pardon me. But again, I have to thank Mr. Wallace, our principal, Ms. Walters, for their support to us and all the student athletes who are here throughout the county. Thank you.
Mr. Wallace, I'll let you keep rolling on with the wrestling team.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Coach Lowry, you want to have your young gentleman, you want to come on over this way, please? Make your way over real quick. Once again, it's my pleasure to have the opportunity to recognize the Davie County High School wrestling team, head coach, Mr. Buddy Lowry. We have with us Coach Allen, Coach Long, Coach McKnight. I think that's all right. Coach Hilton, or a couple of them not here. Okay. I want to say, obviously, thank you to these coaches, parents that are here. Thank you very much. You know, many of you have probably experienced the same thing I do. When we go places, people say, well, I've heard about your cheerleading team. I've heard about your wrestling team. I've heard about your football team. I've heard about a lot of things. And this is one group that obviously folks have heard about, and a lot of that's contributed to Coach Buddy Lowry, who many of, I'm sure this group knows, but I'm not sure that the full audience knows. But Buddy Lowry has well over 800 wins. I actually asked him tonight, I said, how many wins do you have, Coach? He said, I don't know. I said, Coach, come on. He said, no, I really don't know. He said, I'm just ready to win the next one. I said, okay, I got it. So I'm just going to share what he shared. Coach Buddy Lowry is in the North Carolina Hall of Fame. He is